Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. You know, I'm the Dutch ambassador here, but I would consider that I'm here more as the former OSCE ambassador to Albania, because that's where I got most of my experience in this field. So I can, in this case, indeed talk under the Chatham House rules, because what I'm saying is of my experience there, and it has very little to do with the Dutch view about this. So it's my personal view. First of all, talking about closed lists and open lists, there are two. It has already been discussed, of course, before. There are, of course, the advantages of both. The advantages of the closed list is that you can do something for the women, for minorities. They can come in the list, so it can be. And when the democracy is not fully developed, actually, it's not a bad system. But the condition, according to me, is that within the parties there should be a party democracy. It's not that the leader will decide who will come on the list, but the members of the party should decide who will come on the list. That is, of course, up to the same members, because why are the members in the first place when they don't want to have any influence on the list and only listen to the leader, because again then it can be misused. When I was in Albania, they also made a totally new system, and we discussed this lengthily, and at the time ODIHR said no, we must have in Albania closed lists. To my surprise, because I knew that here they had open lists, which was also actually the OSCE themselves who had decided that it should be open lists here. So I was also telling them it's a bit strange, because personally I'm in favor of open lists because it's more democratic. No, it was a very bad idea. The reason why it was a very bad idea, according to them, was that if you have open lists, criminals can buy the votes in order to come into the parliament and then misuse the whole system. That sounds maybe far-fetched, but on the other hand, it is of course true in a country, in a small country, every vote really counts. It is not too difficult if you have to, let's say, bribe 5,000 people, it's doable. If you have to bribe, I don't know, like in Poland, if you have to bribe 100,000 people, is of course impossible, because that's too expensive even in a country. So it makes it, of course, so there was some logic to this, I mean, in order to do it. And then, as I said, the additional advantage was that you could have the quotas for the women. Also in the end, in this electoral quota, they made it so bad that it was not working very well. But even so, I don't want to go back to the past, to the present here. But what you have here, and it's in general actually, when you want elections to be as fair as possible, now I make it a little bit broader, but it has to do with this subject. You should, when you vote, you should actually only have to put one cross, that's all. The less crosses you set, the less chance of cheating. What you have here is, according to me, this preferential voting system that you have. Never heard of such a system. I don't know how the OSCE ever came up with such a strange idea. You know, but I mean, in my country we have preferential voting. It means you vote for a party. You either vote for the party, and then that goes to the leader, or it doesn't matter, or you vote for somebody on the list of that party. Can be number 35. And if that person has, in the present system, more than 25% of what you need to get into the parliament, and your party gets enough votes, that person comes in. And until 1998, it was 50%, so they have made a little bit more easy, this preferential voting. But at least it's very clear, it's only one. That was also what Kasnici, I think, was referring to, because what happens, I mean, I've seen it myself, when you have the seven votes, people are trying to cheat and get, put a cross where it was not, because you can't just add a cross, because I remember in one of the stations where I was, as an observer, of course, actually you are not supposed to interfere, but I said, how is it possible? The whole table is full of pencils, and it's really written here, there is no pencils whatsoever. I mean, please put them all away. And they all put them in, probably when I left they were all back, but still, it's of course not exactly a good system. So I would think, if you want to have an open list, go then to this, not that everything in Netherlands is good, but go then to this, what I then call the Dutch system. You know, only one vote to put, and that vote you can put either on the party or somebody at the party. crosses, not party and a person, then you have already two. Because then later you can still choose by putting another cross. Two crosses on the ballot, invalid. Go on with it. Then there's of course another thing. I mean, to avoid the selling of votes, because still with this one it's still possible. To avoid this is a very practical thing. I have discussed this with Leon. Turn around the voting booth. There's no reason whatsoever that these people go behind somewhere, you don't see what they are doing. Turn them around so that you can see what people are doing. You will only see the back, you will not see what they are signing. But you can see if they are taking a photo, you can see it, and then you immediately say, what are you doing? If you have a person who's supposed to help because the person cannot read or write, you can also see what they are doing, and you can really see what they are doing. There's also a very simple thing, but at least one of the votings, one of the cheating methods is easily avoided. So again, that makes it, at least for this person, more difficult to say to sell the vote, because the ones who paid for it can never know if they really did it. Then of course in the whole system, because in our system when you have this one, we do not know who had got the preferential votes. That we only know like 1 or 2 days later, because that will be only taken into account later. So there you have of course to trust the system, because otherwise you can still cheat in the system. So that is of course, I don't know, that is in your country a disadvantage. In our country, yeah, as far as I know, it doesn't happen. So it's not necessary. Nobody ever puts the counting into this credit. So anyway, so from that point of view, make it as a rule, make everything as simple as possible. So one cross, make that you can see what people are doing, and that you don't put it behind the curtain or whatever. It's not necessary at all. You will not. It's still private when you see it on the back. Second, and then you have to trust the system. And third, you should also do a lot on voters' education. Voters should also, of course, know that when they vote, even if people have told them you better vote for that, they don't have to do it, because many people, especially in the country, they think that probably people know anyway what they are doing, but make them sure that the voting is secret. People do not know. Many people do not know. They fear, oh, probably somebody will know better vote for who I was told to vote for. There's also another thing. Voters' education, very important. About the districts, it was not on the table here, and so I will not comment on it. I'm not totally in agreement with Leon in this field, because I prefer the present system, what you have, only one district. I think it's the more districts, the more chance you have of cheating, according to me. But I know that Leon thinks different about it, because still, according to me, there is nothing against one district, especially in a country as small as you are. Why should you divide the country in more districts? Because you get also the problem. You really have to see what are the districts, because every vote should be at least the same value. I mean, not that in one district you can the same. In one district you can get it for 30,000. You don't get elected. In another one you can get with 5. Even with 5,000 you get 3 votes, 3 seats for a party. So I mean, anyway, to have then this, if you have the district, you have to rearrange them all the time again. You know what they have done, what they do. I mean, in Great Britain, they have also redrawn the districts all the time. The ruling party have this idea to redraw it so that they need less votes to be elected. And in England, it's heavily in favor of the Labour Party. They can get the vote much more cheap than the other ones. So I think in general, districts it has advantages, but it has also many disadvantages. And as I said, you're a very small country, so why should you divide according to me the country or district? Okay, this is not the subject of the whole thing. Then, as I promised not to talk too long, I can continue forever and ever. But another thing is, what might also still be interesting, what they now introduced in Albania, is this electronic vote counting system. Not that I exactly know what it was. I tried to read today what it exactly is, but it sounds at least very interesting. But it might be worth looking at what it is in the electronic vote system. They will have a test run, a test trial, which will be very interesting. But also what they have in their new electoral code, they will